Welcome, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Today we have James Donner, CEO of Adology.AI, on the show. Very excited to learn more about Adology. I am Suze Barnes at DGTL, and we specialize in helping marketing agencies scale their revenue. If you want to learn to take your business to the next level, drop the word growth in the DMs. I'd love to chat with you. James, thanks so much for being on.
Thanks for having me, Suze.
Tell us a bit about you and your background.
So James, I've been in marketing for about 12 years now. So I originally thought I was joining a tech company. What I was actually joining was a marketing agency that had a little bit of tech and was calling themselves a tech company. So that's how I ended up working at an ad agency back in the day. Then I had the chance to join up with some other people and start a media agency inside of a creative agency that already existed. So I did that about 8 years ago. It was called Decoded Advertising, and that was a lot of my career. We were growing Decoded. It was kind of like a pirate mentality of like take clients from the big guys and disrupt and all of that great kind of Silicon Valley disruptor mindset type of stuff. So that was very exciting, especially early in my career to be doing that. We ended up at Decoded winning some big clients like Visa and QuickBooks, T-Mobile, even though we were a very small upstart agency. And we did a lot of that through our innovative, or what we thought were innovative approaches to various ways of optimizing ROI, which has always been my focus. So I was on the media side, but we developed analytics processes for the creative side as well. Some of the earliest ways we'd pitch and win clients was we actually developed a way to run creative tests against brand lift signals, not sales and conversions and those things people are used to doing. Typically, brand lift testing is done against entire campaigns, not at the creative level. And so we wanted to unlock that ability to optimize individual creatives for things like brand salience or differentiation or any of the brand metrics. So we had a lot of little things like that that differentiated us. But yeah, it's a high level background. We then sold the agency in 2021, worked at Media Monks for our acquirers, and then about a year ago left to start Adology, which is where we are now.
Yeah, and so, on your LinkedIn, it says ex-agency founder and investor. What is this ex-agency founder? So you're done with founding agencies?
For now, at least, yes. So that's almost SEO for LinkedIn. I'm not sure I need that anymore with what we're doing on the Adology side. But yeah, it's less a like I'll never go back to it ex agency. It's more of just that's a thing that happened. And then investing, just doing some angel investing in various startups. Some of the ones that are really cool, Adelaide, which is actually a marketing company, which is attention measurement, which I'm sure hopefully your listeners have heard about. But when I met them, it fit right in with our Decoded ethos, which was unlocking better optimization. And Adelaide, essentially, they've unlocked a new optimization metric for media buying, which was optimizing the placements for people actually looking at them. So that was one. Another one was Liquid Death, which was very fun. So I was like, it's a good brand. Obviously, people like water. So
Yeah, it's just super innovative brand. Really interesting way to position water as a product.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of copycats now.
yeah,
There's a lot of like Liquid Death for, Slim Jims or Liquid Death for who knows what, everything.
yeah, yeah. So Adology looks super interesting. I saw a post just yesterday on LinkedIn that was sort of showing a demo of how it works, but we'd love to have you explain it to us. I did sign up for the alpha. I'm on the alpha.
We'll have you in there. We have a new release tomorrow, so we're adding you guys once that's out. Yeah, so Idology. So I think we'll touch on probably some trends and landscape things here, but essentially the marketing AI is getting really far ahead on production, and it can make videos, and obviously it can make emails and copy and things like that. But what is driving the intelligence behind those automated production systems? How do they know what to produce? And so right now, either that's obviously still coming from your team spending a lot of time doing strategy, or if you're letting AI do that, it's coming from like the training data where it's just making up ideas based on its training data, and you'll find that they start to get really repetitive. What those ideas don't have, they're not grounded in your category, they're not grounded in culture, AI, as everyone is using it today, has no awareness of what's going on around a brand because its training data is 6+ months old, doesn't contain all of the details of everything all their competitors are doing or their customers are saying. Uh, but it's old. And then their way of getting fresh data is to do a web search. And when they do a web search, they're kind of sampling things. They don't have access to certain social platforms. It's not really comprehensive. You can do deep research, but again, it'll pull articles and things from years ago. But what it's not doing is it's not actually doing what your teams would do, which is when people do strategy for making creative, you have to research your audience, understand their pain points, look at what they're saying online and forums and communities. What are they saying about your product? What are they saying about your competitor's product? You then also have to research what are the trends. Like the best agencies are super trend driven. They can pick up on a TikTok trend and scale a bunch of content on that. Uh, They also have to research what's going on in the category. What are the norms? So these are all the blind spots we saw in AI. And that's what Idology solves. So we give the strategic sort of brain into these AI either pipelines or AI chat clients. We give them awareness of what competitors are doing. We give them awareness of what customers are saying, which they really do not have now. So we're going to be posting a lot of split screen videos showing that. And we give them awareness of trends so that as the world moves forward in automating marketing, there is not just automated production, but actually help on the strategy side. We're not a company that says that AI is just, better than people, going to replace people. It's just not. I think if you're in marketing, like slop is a real thing. We deal with this, even at our business where we're using our tool, when we're using AI outputs, they're worse than humans when you just let it do the thing entirely. But if you use it as just a tool, then it's super powerful. So it's really incredible, especially with our data, to use it to ideate. It's really incredible to use it to give feedback and edit and slight improvements. It can really round things out. It's great for insights when it has the right data and synthesis of insights. And so that's the future we're trying to support is not just, hey, with our system, you don't need any people and you just connect it to VO and you're running off on your own. There are companies that are going after that. We're not that one. We're trying to actually be a helpful tool that upgrades your AI systems with this type of data that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the repetition piece, I think people are still expecting original ideas
Yeah.
out of AI, and that's not how, generative AI in any way works, right? It's looking at what has been done before and iterating on that. And so, especially in advertising, marketing, unique original ideas are very important. And we need the research to be able to come up with something that is different, that is innovative.
Yeah. And they don't, and I mean, most of the information they have in a marketing context, if you ask them, do deep research on my category of competitors, they'll pull up all the PR articles that have ever, have come out over the competitors. And that's their view of what's going on, like what the CMO said in an Adweek article 3 years ago. And that is not a good view of what's happening in your category. So even when they're coming up with original ideas, it's super biased to what got news coverage. And so with our system, you can actually give it the awareness of what's trending on TikTok yesterday so that you can put your original idea in there, but then have AI empowered with our data actually tweak it so that it's on trend to what was happening, yesterday.
I love it. I talked to a guest, Erika Phillips Bell, a few weeks ago. She was talking about cultural listening. We have, social listening is generally like, listening for your brand. But actually, more important is to listen for what's happening in culture, where the trends are. And those things are happening in real time, right? And you need to be where the conversation is. So I think being able to give the tool that context is super helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also, back in our agency days, it was kind of the one thing we didn't get to develop an optimization model for. We were optimizing all the content after it was made. We were optimizing all the bidding and audiences, but we didn't get to do a data-driven research process. We never got to build that. So that's what has been exciting about this is how do you make research more data-driven and just empower strategists? Like strategists are our customers, you know, among other types. So Yeah, cultural listening, I totally agree. I think, especially when you combine listening to what audiences are saying with auditing it against where is there still white space? Where does our brand have strengths? And when you bring, what the huge thing we do is essentially we're offering to upgrade people's AIs. I think it's going to be a new category in the future, a new type of agency, because AI is a tool. Until it's AGI, it's not a replacement for people. It's a tool, and so there's a lot of optimization to be done for it. So how do you give it awareness of your historical top performing creative? How do you give it awareness of what's happening on the sales calls that your sales teams are doing if you have a lead pipeline, so that it actually knows people's objections? And now when you're writing creative, it can pull from the number one objections on the sales calls, and it can pull from the top techniques that your salespeople use to overcome those objections and actually put that right in the creative. So as you connect all that data, I think it just, yeah, it goes from generic or outputs into more insightful ones.
So, we talk about personalization. It sounds like personalization on steroids. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I know there's some companies. I mean, I know of a company that's trying to. They want to personalize every ad one to one. So at the moment of impression, they read the data on you and they generate a new ad. Who knows? That's
yeah.
a crazy idea. I
Also,
actually,
go
I
ahead.
will say
Sorry.
I'm actually not so huge on personalization
Hmm.
because you have to ultimately develop messaging and creative that works overall. I think like I never thought personalization was a scalable strategy. Like if you add like hey New Yorkers to your ads and you run them in New York, yes, it might lead to an uptick, but that's not really kind of building the brand. So I think uh yeah, I've always been really geared into like how do you find the best, large scale messages that you can put out there and things that are true to your brand and, you know, work for everybody. There's times for personalization for sure, but I think it's a hard strategy to make as a centerpiece for advertising strategy.
Yeah, we're probably not there yet. Interesting that you are coming back to pre-launch of ads and campaigns, right? So you were on the optimization side, which is, you're seeing the performance and figuring out how to optimize it. And now you're coming back to how can we get in front of what's going to work before we launch, right? How has that been? Is that exciting for you, or
Yeah,
do you pull on insights from your previous life?
I love it. I mean, I went so deep on the performance optimization in my previous life to the point where I then saw the huge limitations of it. Like I could go on and on. We'd use our whole time about this, but essentially, digital actions are not a good proxy for mental associations and brand associations at all. So if you optimize your creative for driving online sales, what you're actually tend to be optimizing for, let's say this is in Meta, is you're optimizing it for attention in the feed. And this even relates to Adelaide. Only 20% of Facebook feed ads are ever actually looked at, even glanced at. And so if you do an ad that breaks the patterns in the feed and catches attention, it might be 40% or 60% of people look at that ad. Well, now your performance is going to be way, way better because you have twice as many people starting the attention funnel. And you'll have, proportionally more, downstream who ultimately convert. So if you're Corona, the beer, you'll end up optimizing for things that catch attention in the feed. That is probably not going to be showing the Corona beer in a bucket on the sand in Mexico with a palm tree. It's going to be something else. It's going to be laser or just huge offers. And as a result, if you're a Corona and you're following digital ad testing as a signal, you're going to end up optimizing away from your brand equities, your mental associations, those things that actually drive sales in CVS. When people are staring at a wall of beer and they're choosing what they're going to buy, they're buying Corona because it's related to the beach, which is related to happiness. And their brain just subconsciously is feeling good vibes from that and it's purchasing it. I believe that it's backed up in, Daniel Kahneman's System 1 and 2 Thinking. There's an awesome book on this called Decoded, the science behind why people buy, no relation to our old agency. So anyway, there's always flaw in the optimization world. And then, but what is exciting about the strategy world is what I think is going to happen is that optimization, performance marketing is going to be largely solved. You will it will run creative, it'll iterate it, it'll version it, optimize it, all on signals, all within Facebook and Google and as a black box. And that'll be nice, I actually think, because that will allow everyone else who's in marketing to go back to focusing on all those things that it doesn't cover. all the things it can't measure. Google will not be able to optimize for Corona, choosing the beach as their central strategy for, associations. So I'm actually excited about the idea that by solving some of the performance marketing things, it'll let the industry shift a little bit more into a brand and strategy focus.
I wonder how long it'll take Google to, encourage brands to optimize more to awareness than conversion, right? Because right now they push very hard on conversion. Meta too. I mean, it's all objective based.
Yeah, I'm happy that there's lots of marketing where there's like a low data volume where it can't just be dominated by some AI black box algorithm. Like there's just not enough data to power the algorithms for some of the other things. And what it means is you're actually going to have to make a call. You're going to have to make a choice on what does my brand stand for? How are we positioning? Which is how most brands have traditionally operated. But in the performance marketing world, you don't really have to make a choice. You can just put everything out there, see what works, and kind of scale that. So when you have to make a call because you can't measure it, you then need really good research and really good inputs. And you need to get a really comprehensive picture of what's going on before you make your bet. Because it may be a year or two before you find out if that bet's going to work or not.
How long does it take somebody to use your tool, or what are you going for eventually? Is it you use it every day? Is it like a one-time thing for each project?
You can use it for essentially any marketing task where you're doing research, anywhere where you're currently using AI in marketing. So it would have the same frequency at which you're currently using AI, and then you
Mhm.
may be using AI more because the outputs are better. So people will use AI for research. Okay, the research with our data sets will be better. It taps into more sources. It actually does quantified data analysis before it returns it back to the AI. You can use it for ideation. Again, it knows trends. It knows what's working on TikTok. It knows what's working on LinkedIn. That'll be a big focus, in a few months is upping the predictive power of what we're doing. Because right now we're really focused on bringing a lot of data in and making it all available to the AIs. And then we're going to be focused even more on the predictive kind of power of this is what we think is going to work for your business. So you can use it for research, for ideation. If you're doing script writing, it knows all of your old scripts. It knows all your competitors' scripts. It knows viral organic scripts, so it can help with that. If you want to evaluate concepts and ads, you can we have people who are, it knows all of your ads and your top performers and what they look like. So you can put in new ads and then have it actually give specific feedback on that. We're starting to personalize and collect data from your points of view. So we'll actually interview customers for our enterprise customers and understand how they look at creative and gather all this data on their specific points of feedback. Then we can actually give that as knowledge to the AI so that it can learn to speak and evaluate creative similar to the people who are using it. So we're just exploring all these ways to make it more useful, but any of those tasks you're using it for. And then, yeah, creating full concepts. And then eventually, when you want to create ads, your AI supercharged by us can strategize much better ads, can write better prompts to create the AI ads, and then you can make them.
Asking the enterprise company, maybe C-suite, about their feedback on the ads sounds a bit dangerous because they usually think they know best, right, over the data. I think this ad is going to work the best and therefore it has to run because I'm the highest paid person in the room.
Yeah, right.
Do you see any issues with that for the
Yeah, so typically we're not interviewing them. Most often it's like the marketing manager or someone who's really close to the performance data. And often I think, in agencies and in brands, you have the people who are close to the data and the people who are making the creative. And they have to spend either a lot of time working together or they don't spend enough time working together. And so one person produces work and then the second person says, oh, but this isn't incorporating this best practice or this or that. And so we can help trim that down because we can basically take the feedback of the second person who's reviewing and bringing a performance lens, and we can kind of put that into their chatbot, Gemini or ChatGPT or whatnot. And when the other person is creating and ideating, they can start off with those kind of priorities and that feedback. Oh, we have to show, the product always needs to be shown in flat lays because it doesn't perform when it's shown in a different way. Or, these are always our best 5 cents, or all the whole list of never do this, always do that. Often those things are communicated, but there's a lot of them. And so it's always I think the communication can be tough.
yeah, guardrails and guidelines? What trends are you noticing, aside from, what you're building with Adology? What trends are you noticing in the marketing advertising space?
Well, people are not making a ton of AI ads yet, at least not at the, higher quality brand levels.
Mhm.
That is, I don't know if people expected that to immediately happen or not. I do think consumers are gonna get wary of, AI created content. It remains to be seen if we'll be able to tell the difference, or if it will be labeled. Yeah, I think, people are still on their journey, brands and agencies at the beginning of this year, I think everyone had it as a hard business goal to adopt AI. And I think the market is just evolving slower than maybe some of the futurists would predict, and so I think it's still going to be another few years of slow integration where workflows are truly being enriched by AI. So I don't know if that answers the trend question. There's a lot of testing of different tools. What I have seen is people using very advanced AI creation tools and then canceling because they're not quite there. So I think a big
Mhm.
on the SaaS side is promising a lot, expecting technology to catch back up by the time you're growing and your sales are closing and all this, and then the technology isn't catching up, uh, and unhappy customers. So I think we may have like a little pullback towards the end of the year.
Mhm.
Tested a lot of tools, and then towards the end of the year are not, loving them.
Mhm.
So we
For
also
sure.
try to make sure we're not overselling what you know.
How do you find potential customers? What's your game plan?
So LinkedIn's pretty awesome, especially if you're a competitive intelligence related company.
Mhm.
Intelligence, easy competitive intelligence, free social listening, being on trend. That stuff tends to kind of pop off on LinkedIn. Also, when you're marketing a superpower for AI, that's a little bit so LinkedIn's been awesome. We had a post that got, 600 alpha requests to join. So that was great. We filled up our whole alpha quota off one post. Also, network friend,
Mhm.
intros, friends. We're getting referrals from other clients, things like that. We're not really looking at paid marketing at all ourselves yet, largely due to our, us being smaller. And my experience, paid marketing to me is an accelerant that you pour on once everything else is fully optimized. Yeah, so LinkedIn's been great. Referrals through the network. We're talking with some like search consultancies and things like that for some of our uh, to get more enterprise introductions. But largely, my strategy is to make the product so good that people want to talk about us and want to share us with other people. Like that's the right strategy.
Yeah, definitely. And then when do you expect to launch? Right now you're
Yeah, we are available now. We're basically in alpha mode. So in some senses, we've launched. When we declare that the alpha is over, that will be sometime in September. But then after
okay.
that, yeah, then after that, I mean, I guess technically we're in beta, but we'll be up with accepting online signups and billing and all of that September. So you won't need to talk with me to get onboarded in a few weeks. I guess that'll be our official launch.
Cool. Well, what do you think leaders are doing in general? I think you touched on this earlier about transformation relative to automation and AI. You talked about people expecting everything to be doing more and then maybe pulling back. Is that still your take?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think companies could be doing more. I think it's, I guess I've been living in this space. So, um, I get a little biased on what I expect people to kind of already realize or know. But I think there is more that companies could be doing.
Hmm.
I think a lot of times, and it makes sense, they look to outside providers to figure it out and deliver the fully packaged solution. I do think that there's people could be getting an edge right now in certain areas. And I mean, it's so self-serving. I don't think it's the production side. I do think it's on the intelligence side and the data side. And so that's an area where I think people could and should invest in more. But a lot of companies, are focused on the right things, like making sure there's AI literacy everywhere. Sometimes there's mandates to use AI a certain amount. That I think can be dangerous. I mean, it's a real balancing act because the second you start using it, if you start overusing it and you stop applying your own brain to it, all of a sudden there's worse things coming out. And there's more of it too. There's more things to review.
Yeah,
And so that's another challenge as well. Uh,
it's the AI with the HI.
yeah.
Human intelligence is still. important.
Yes. I mean, yeah. AI is the short context window defines everything about AI to me. Like the really nihilistic thing is like we're the long context like
Hmm.
intelligence and they're the short context intelligence. And basically it's like the two needing to work together. But, you know, until you can fit like a lifetime's worth of goals and considerations and cultural considerations and what your boss was talking about last week and what your client was talking about a month ago and all of that, and until all of that can fit nicely in the context window of an AI, which aren't getting that much bigger, then it's never going to be able to replace what a person can do. So I do think the most important thing for any business is I'm probably looking at AI like a tool, knowing what it can do as a tool, and then using that tool in the right places, like where it's ready to rock right now today, uh, and not, elsewhere. But in the meantime, a lot of companies are going to end up signing up for SaaS platforms, trying them, seeing that they're only okay, not trying again for 6 months. So I expect that for a little while longer.
I heard somebody refer to ChatGPT as a PhD in your pocket.
Yeah.
Do you think it's more a PhD or more sort of the intern or somewhere in the middle?
I think it's much more of the intern. I think marketing is a unique use case and it's why we need to exist because it's fast moving, recent data that matters. And so, science concepts are well established in the training data. And so, yeah, if you need something to just recap scientific concepts to you, it can just do that. But for anything that needs to be based on more real time data, it's not in the training data. So then it's a web search, but that's not the right vehicle either for a lot of that intelligence. But no, AI to me is a tool. It's not true intelligence. It's a synthesis tool. It's a, you know, yeah, editing ideation tool.
Do you have a favorite tool? If you were to choose one tool that you had to have.
I really do use all three: Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude now.
Mhm.
I mean, Gemini 2.5, if the thing like serious needs to get done, like Gemini 2.5 Pro is pretty elite. Claude is incredible because of its ability to call tools, MCP servers, which is our main way of delivering intelligence right into Claude right now. It can interoperate all these different things. So Claude is really, really powerful. Then Chat, yes, for general writing and thinking, or sorry, writing and just like conversation. But it that was big learning to me is how much these chat clients are just products on top of base LLMs. When people say Perplexity is a wrapper, ChatGPT is also a wrapper. You know, ChatGPT is a wrapper on the OpenAI API, just like Perplexity is a wrapper on those APIs. There's so many decisions, and this is why they haven't been able to make it, I think, progress so far. There's like the personality they put into the system prompt dramatically affects the way it responds to every single other thing. And that's why Sam Altman recently said, I've realized we're going to need to find ways to let people tailor the personalities because it's just like it will not be good for every task until they are splitting all these different sub personalities off. And it
Mhm.
also speaks to AI's weakness. Like it's going to say whatever you want it to say to you if it's just based on what the personality inputs you've put in and all of those things. So you have to be careful about that. That can be a good thing if you train it, if you give its personality as your brand voice and you want it to speak like your brand, it'll do a great job at that. But if its personality is to agree with everything you say, there's like that amazing South Park episode from a few weeks ago, then that's all it's going to do. And that will harm, I think, the outputs that you're getting from it.
Yeah, and you will soon find that you're not really living in reality. You will be disappointed by your human interactions.
One of the most insightful things I ever learned about AI, and this was actually 3 months into the company starting, was that there is no awareness from call to call. But the idea that it remembers what you're saying and that your conversations feel natural is because the engineers at OpenAI have engineered that with their human intelligence with traditional code. What they do is every single query is completely separate. But in front of your query, they're inserting your whole chat history every time so that it can remember. And then when it gets too long, they're summarizing what's happening in the middle and they're inserting the first query you sent and the last query and then responding. And this is how they're simulating the experience of this AI that knows you and remembers, but it doesn't. It's human engineering that has chosen what to re-architect, so they're kind of the first context engineers. Almost every AI company from my perspective is a context engineering company. They're managing the context window. These beautiful LLMs have been created. All they can do is take some words in and give you, the best, most natural sounding response back. And so we engineer the context windows. OpenAI engineers the context windows so that chat experience feels good. And so everyone's kind of doing that.
In your business with Adology, what's working well for you right now and what's been frustrating or challenging?
What we have had a ton of success in is building our market research team over in Indonesia. So we have an amazing team over there, an amazing woman who's leading that for us. And we've just been growing it naturally through referrals. And they actually use our platform to produce intelligence reports for clients. So they can produce reports that take 100 hours. They can make them in 5 hours in these beautifully designed decks. And then we deliver them over to enterprise businesses here. So just, it's been nice. We don't have a full office here in the US. They all get together in Indonesia. We're all distributed in the US, but they all get together. They operate as a team. So it's really nice to watch that team grow, watch their capabilities grow, because they're essentially power users of our platform. And what we're doing is a little bit kind of like future east. They're kind of leading the way on how to use it, how to get useful outputs out of it. And then that's what we take and we either productize it even further or we take it to our clients and help teach them. So I think a lot of our business right now is about, hey, we'll cover the gaps for you because you don't want to be building AI content pipelines right now. And you don't want to build AI generated reports. You just want the report. So cool. We'll build the report. It'll take us a fraction of the time. We'll sell you a report that used to cost $15,000 for $500, and everyone's happy. And we're learning new skills, and it's fun.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I teach a class at USF here in the Bay Area called Innovation in Advertising, and I also teach some social media. What advice would you give advertising students right now hoping to get jobs in advertising?
Well, I hope they're studying actual uh, evidence-based marketing in school, because there's way too much in the advertising industry of just coming out of school. This is what I did: coming out of school, start the job, learn from your boss, make your clients happy, think you're doing well, read articles, think you know, like. And so there's just so much where it's just hand me down knowledge from a game of telephone that hasn't been grounded in space marketing. And I follow Byron Sharp on LinkedIn, and he's always just making snarky comments all over the place on LinkedIn about who's incorrect and not following. But yeah, my number one advice would be to actually understand the power of brand marketing. It's not some legacy fuddy duddy concept. And I think the world's kind of pivoting back towards that, but that was like the storyline in the 20 teens. Performance marketing's here. We can measure everything. Why would we produce anything that's not backed by data? Well, it turns out the data can be super misleading. So, yeah, learn brand marketing, learn evidence based marketing. That's kind of the most key word. And so much of what was produced, even 100 years ago, 70 years ago, 50 years ago, about marketing science and how it works is super, applicable. And I think the other
Still, yeah,
inherent how to adapt trends, which is the other most important kind of part. I think trends are how you get noticed and capture attention. And then proper evidence-based marketing is how you actually, build a brand that sticks out in people's minds because you can optimize that too. It's just different. It's not scientific. It's just a different type of science than performance marketing.
awesome. Let's see. Where do you want to be in 6 to 12 months?
6 to 12 months, doing what we're doing with more capabilities in the platform, more customers. We're going to be building our AI agents in a few months. So right now we're trying to meet our clients in a lot of areas. So we'll offer just a platform that you can build automations on. We'll offer managed services where we use the platform to actually mine the data and produce intelligence for you. And then the next stage is kind of building agents that actually take actions and do things. But I'm very cognizant of not uh, over promising what certain agents, when things can do. An example of an agent is one that will, you just talk to it and you ask it for your weekly briefing, and it will tap into our database and write your weekly briefing and assemble all the reference imagery and all those things. So that'll be an early one. So things like that. That'll be exciting for us adding those in, but we don't really know yet whether people are going to want to build their own. Like, I think agencies should want to build their own agents. That becomes part of their differentiator. They should want to build their own AI driven pipelines where there's humans and AI and it's all architected and that becomes the special sauce. I think that's the special sauce of an agency of the future. So that's what we're offering the platform for. But a lot of people just want things handled. So we're going to continue to go up the chain to handle more and more use cases end to end as well.
So like a white label approach.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, like at first, we're a data platform, and like, I mean, there's kind of like we're almost a cooperative for some of this data too. You want to have OpenAI in operator mode go and do research for you. I mean, AI has to take over your computer, which is annoying, but and I think it runs in the background now. It will, so you have it go watch all your competitors' videos. You have it go watch all the videos on TikTok related to your category and the relevant hashtags. You have it go read all the reviews. That's going to cost you like dollars and dollars, maybe $10 or $20 to do some of that research. And if you imagine just everyone doing that, it's really wasteful because there's always AIs watching the same content. Instead of that needing to happen, people can just hit our database and grab essentially the attributes of the content, all of the features in it, the scripts, etc. And so we're kind of going to operate a little bit as a cooperative too for people able to share data, and we're going to charge really as much as possible just for our platform, not for AI analysis. So a lot of the research we do is token intensive, but the nice thing is by doing it in a centralized place where we're extracting and watching this content, we're extracting like the pain points and the benefits, we're extracting the hooks and the tension. By doing it all in a structured way, we can kind of save tokens for everybody, where everyone's not watching thousands of videos. They can just hit a text database and pull thousands of tokens. So we think that's also kind of a good thing in terms of being efficient.
Interesting. If you could solve one major challenge today, what would it be
In marketing or for the business?
for the business?
Uh, one major challenge to solve right now. I mean, we're basically ready to scale, so I'd love to skip fundraising and just have someone deposit a check in our bank account and keep working focused in a focused manner. Uh, but that's okay. It's part of the process.
Yeah. Um, Dream client for you.
I love the beverage category. Uh, so any
Interest.
big beverage company is great. Liquid Death would be cool. I just think it's fascinating. Like there's so little to work with in what you can say and do, but it makes such a huge difference. Like what your packaging is, what your positioning is,
Hmm.
all of that.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's a good time. I mean, people would say like because I'm from the agency space, I do think is AI going to destroy agencies and destroy jobs and things like that? I actually think it's a good time to start an agency. Uh, Especially on the media side. I think, there's a change in what the top skills are going to be for an agency to have to win. We work with an agency called Odyssey Agency, and they're super AI forward, and they are using AI to adapt their scripts and to produce content at scale. And so people are figuring out how to use it in the right ways, not over rely on it, but use it in the right ways. And I think that's going to lead to a whole new class of, rising agencies, whether it's on the creative side or on the media side. And the media agencies have always been a tech integrator. So as everything gets even more techified, I view media agencies as just part of their role is going to be to sift through the million SaaS companies that are out there and figure out the right stack for their clients. And then they may just be tech implementation consultants. I don't know, but it's all very interesting. I think I don't subscribe to the doom and gloom. I've also think that AI is kind of plateauing in its capabilities for a while.
Hmm. Well, that's super encouraging for ad agencies or people in advertising in general. I talked to somebody yesterday about how the ad industry in general is declining and becoming more and more challenging.
Yeah,
So, good to have an opposite
it's obviously a
yeah.
big industry. So, slight reductions in production budgets will have huge impacts on jobs, which isn't great. But so there will obviously be transition
Hmm.
in many roles. But I think overall, like it's an optimization problem, how much you spend on creative. If I have $10 million for our marketing budget, I'm not going to spend 100 grand on the agency and the people who are optimizing the effectiveness of that. I'm going to spend $1 million because if they can get me 10% more out of everything, then it's a win. So I think that the nature of that will always ensure that there's money to flow from brands into optimizers and agencies whose job is to make the most out of that budget. So that's what helps me, feel good about that space. Even if you dropped costs, like why would you spend, 10 grand just because you can? I don't think you'd do that.
Yeah. And then if they're using your tool, they're being set up for success because they have all the research down to be adding the differentiation and the messaging that is going to work.
Yeah. And then if you're hiring these, kids out of school who have actually studied marketing, evidence-based marketing, they'll know what to do with all the information and how it relates to, driving associations, and growing brands. So that will hopefully be the recipe.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. Thank you so much, James. This has been super insightful, and I'm excited to see what happens with Adology.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for having me. It's been really great to chat.